Namaste, Galactic Family, and welcome back to my channel, IndigoAngel. Welcome if you are new, and if you're returning, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also hit the notifications bell to continue to receive my messages. And if you're not receiving my notifications, just try unclicking the notifications bell and then re-clicking the notifications bell again and see if that helps. I have had a lot of people reach out to me recently and tell me that they aren't receiving my notifications and that they have signed up for it. So just so you guys know, my channel has been shadow banned since about June 2018. Something happened that summer. I woke up one morning and was checking on my videos, and they had pulled a lot of my videos from the searches. My videos were starting to get a lot of views at that time, and YouTube just decided that they were going to cap my growth capacities. So I've had to just kind of accept that, and it's one of the reasons why I push a lot of my stuff out on Facebook, to try to let people know that I post and things like that. So if you are not receiving my notifications, then it might be good to follow my Facebook page, IndigoAngel, and also join my groups, Diamond Sun Human Grail Lines and Hydra Starseed. So that way you can receive the updates that I put out. And also you can go to my website, IndigoAngel222.com, and you can sign up for my mailing list as well, as I do try to send out about a monthly email every month, just giving everyone the most recent, most important information that I have downloaded. So yeah, guys, it's so good to be back. I haven't put out a video for about a week, and it's because I've been doing a lot of linear work. I have been doing a lot of things at home, just diving into the 3D, scheduling things. I'm also planning a trip down to the Yucatan, so I will be down in Mayan world in Mexico for a couple weeks. So I'm hoping to film some content down there. And of course, I will be taking sessions and clients still while I'm down there. So if you would like to do, if you've been thinking about doing my Advanced Avatar Master Practices interactive session, I recommend that you message me when I'm down in Mexico, because I will be able to transmit a lot of those Mayan codes, as I'm going to be going to about 6 different ruins and temples all within the area. And I'm hoping to film some invocations and do more of my artistic creative work. So I'm really excited to go down there and bring this forth. I have some really amazing people meeting me down there to work on these projects. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. Yeah, so I haven't been on YouTube for about a week, so I just try to put content out as quickly as I can go. Sometimes the full picture and the downloads of what I'm trying to present to you guys takes some time to come through as well. So we have the new moon February 11th. That's going to be in Aquarius. And I do believe we were supposed to have 7 planetary positions in Aquarius this month, but as I'm checking my astro calendar as we speak, it looks like we have about 1, 2, 3, 4 planetary positions in Aquarius at the moment. So definitely still aligning to Pegasi, and so my last cosmic grid update that I did just put out is still relative. Pegasi and the Nexus systems, if you haven't watched that cosmic grid update, I suggest you go watch that, as that is activating within the grids and also within the planetary underlying radial currents that are within the planetary scalar wave mechanics of the ascension process, also within the Schumann resonance, also within the ley lines, and all of the generating core fundamental quantum perceptions of energy mechanics. So this is still coming up So I definitely recommend going and watching that Cosmic Grid update if you haven't seen it yet. But today we're going to be discussing the Hydra grid, and I am calling this the original grid of creation, and I am going to tell you guys why. And I just want to go ahead and put a disclaimer on this video as per usual, as we're going to be diving into it today. And Hydra is next level stuff, guys. I have been talking about Hydra for at least the last 2 years, very openly, very publicly. And I personally have Hydra in my moon placement, so it is a star system that I do feel is my home. I'm deeply, deeply rooted and connected to the star system. It's one of the reasons why I started the Hydra Starseed group on Facebook, is to help birth this consciousness into the collective, as I feel it is so important. It's so highly fundamental for us to understand this star system. I feel that it is one of the most important and the oldest star nation and race that does exist on this planet, equivalent to a lot of other star systems that are very old ancient nations that are original progenitor races as well. Hydra is not the only one, but it is highly it's one of the main ones. And so just so you know, the information that I discuss on my channel, it's typically highly occult and it's highly controversial. Hydra is an occult star nation. This is not in the cosmic history books. Okay, this hasn't really been written into the mainstream as of yet. It's just now starting to kind of slow its new skin, its regeneration, its birthing into this process. And so I have dedicated myself as an ambassador to this star nation, and I speak about it as much as I possibly can and bring forth as much information about it as I can. So just stay tuned to my channel, because I will occasionally cycle back around to Hydra and put more and more information out. I do have a couple articles on my website, IndigoAngel222.com, about Hydra, some of my original pieces that I've written about it, but it is getting much more extensive at this point because we're going into grid work now with Hydra. So a lot is coming up with this information, and I'm hoping to possibly write a book someday about Hydra, honestly, to bring forth all of its knowledge. But again, I can only integrate light intelligence at specific increments of time, and it's also taking me traveling around the world to truly understand Hydra's mythology. And so that's taking me on a quest. It's activating my indigo type 1 capacities. The grids are coming alive in my body, and this Hydra current is really what is allowing me to do some of the traveling that I've been doing, is because I am to fully immerse myself in this consciousness. And this is a part of my life's work. And so I am highly fundamentally being supported by the star system. And it's really interesting that travel has begun to become one of the main things, tuning into this radial energy signature and activating it and embodying it and living through this consciousness. Okay, so back to my, I get off topic. Okay, guys, so back to my disclaimer here. So I always encourage you to vet out this information yourself. Do not fully give yourself to something you don't fully enter, under, and overstand. And always, always, always listen to your own gnosis. Your own gnosis comes first over any teachings, any teachers, any sacred books, or any influencers that you have come across, period. And even sacred books, you have to remember everything that has come forth to humanity has been skewed through a human perception. I find that a lot of the divine feminines that I speak to regularly, they don't trust a lot of the sources that were written by men. And so they have a hard time even picking up these books and vetting through informations that have been written by men, because there is such a awareness of the patriarchy. control and distortion. So you have to remember, everything that you read is going to come through some sort of distortion, even the Bible. So I always say my best advice, honestly, is to read multiple books on a certain topic. If you're studying something, read multiple perceptions of something. Get a male perspective, get a female perspective, and then work through what your truth is within that. So the Hydra consciousness, okay, guys, this consciousness is probably one of the most intelligent out of all systems, okay? And I'm not just saying this because I'm a Hydra. I'm saying this because truly I've been able to see the vastness of this energy signature and what it truly represents here. I'm calling this cosmic grid update the original creation grid. So there's a reason for this intelligence, okay? There are 9 heads of Hydra, and there are 9 heads of consciousness, all within one body that is they're able to access, okay? So you can imagine having 9 separate heads of intelligence to access at one time, all with highly advanced data processing systems, okay? This really truly is the root identity of Gaia. It's highly tied into the dragon ley lines. It has been associated as the identity of the earth, this alpha omega current that comes up from the core of the earth. This has been identified in some writings and in books and perceptions and in my own meditations as the identity of the earth. Okay, so this is super angelic human capacities, particularly when this is anchored as a starseed origin, and even more highly multidimensional and advanced in planetary creation. Okay, and not just planetary creation, universal creation, galactic creation, galaxy creation, multiverse creation, transformation and regeneration, and immortality across a broad spectrum of human cosmic history and planetary ascension. Okay, and I'm going to dive into more of why all this is, why I believe this to be true. But I want to start with that this is considered a guardian spiritual identity. And this actually descended from the seraph. Okay, so the Ser in seraphi or seraphim is for serpent. Okay, they are considered the burning ones. And I believe I spoke about them in a video that I filmed at the Flaming Gorge. So if you guys caught that Flaming Gorge update that I did, I believe it was, I think it was about 6 months ago. I will leave the link in the description to this video. You can go check it out if you want, but I kind of dived into more of the identity of the seraphim. It was through the Lion's Gate at that time. But these are the celestial angels that have 6 wings and serpent bodies. They've also been seen as dragon bodies as well, but more primarily serpent. And they usually carry out the acts of ritual purification. Because they implement the acts of God and they are closest to the thrones of God. That's what guardian consciousness is. So anybody can connect to and access guardian consciousness. Guardians are for every being on this earth that has the capacity to tune into them. It is not limited to any type of specific regulations or rules, okay? And so some of you know who I'm speaking to when I am saying this, but it's actually mentioned in the second book of Enoch that Hydra, the water serpent, was seen as brazen hydras and copper serpents, and they were described as flying elements of the sun. So this is very much a solar consciousness, and really when you dive into Egyptian mythology, you can identify this even more, how this is really related to the solar aspects of things, as the solar consciousness itself is highly dualistic. It is light and it is darkness. There is a diamond sun and there is a black diamond sun. The sun represents life. particularly in Egypt, but also represents death as well. And I'm just going into this to show you the dualisms in particular systems. It's very much dualistic in lunar consciousness as well, a topic that I want to get into at another time. Maybe that will be a good topic to do at my next Divine Feminine Roundtable, to talk about the polarizations within lunar and solar consciousness. But essentially, they are seen in the fourth and the sixth heaven. Okay, and they are said to actually have up to 12 wings, so 6 to 12 wings. Now, not very many presume this to be true, because these identities have been hijacked. Particularly the Seraphim. They've been hijacked by the fallen Aquila, okay, hybrid Jehovian, Anunnaki, Draco nations, the hybridizations within these nations. And I say fallen because, and I want you to keep this in mind, I actually thought about this earlier, that beings are not fallen all the time in one existence. And so it represents a time that they were fallen, but they are not always fallen in their existence. It truly represents dissension. And so that is a process that is constantly a wavering dualistic law within this universal system. So when we say fallen, they are acts that have integrated themselves during dissension cycles, technically, through specific races. That's all the identification truly means. And this is also according to landmass colonization as well. So it's been distorted, the true forms of the Seraphim. They've been distorted throughout his story, right? Because we don't have her story. And that's truly what Hydra does come to represent. Even though Hydra is a feminine and a masculine quality, it really does truly come to represent her story, being so greatly integrated in Gaia consciousness, Earth consciousness, right? So this is also an angelic reptilian nation that's hybridized serpent, feline, avian, and centaurian. So I've put out some videos about this as well, about the serpent centaurian hybrids. I've channeled these beings a couple times now. Amazing beings. The power, the intelligence, the technology that's coming forth within this system is very close to Pegasi technology, but it's different in a sense. And I was supposed to get a video out about that, but never got around to it. But yeah, so the Hydra, this nation is also angelic, as an angelic reptilian lineage. Okay, it takes many, many, many forms though, and I'm going to go over some of those forms in just once later in this video. But additionally, this is also the foundation to the DNA helix, and this containing the crystalline frequency of all the morphogenetic fields and the original primordial races. Okay, and if you simply just look at the Hydra constellation, it essentially dominates the entire southern hemisphere, and it contains 14 other constellations in its reach. So that means 14 other constellations are influenced by this star system. It is very easy to say just by looking in comparison to other star systems and what it encompasses. It encompasses, I believe, Jupiter's shadow, or Jupiter's something is in Jupiter, something is in Hydra as well. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it, but you could say that Hydra is the mother of the cosmos, right? Being the largest constellation in the sky, encompassing 14 other constellations. I mean, this is pretty major. And also its primary sister constellation, Alpha Centauri. Okay, Alpha Centauri is Proxima B. This is an exoplanet. This is some of the systems that Pegasi and the Nexus systems are starting to explore, Proxima B, right, for these interplanetary stellar communication systems that will be designed in the future. But these, the Alpha Centauri, this is a true progenitor nation deeply tied to Africa. I want to say that all Alpha Centauri stargates are in Africa. And so this is the supposed true birthplace of humanity, right? And Alpha Centauri also contains the most stars out of all other constellations. And so between Hydra and Alpha Centauri, they contain all the most constellations and the most stars in the entire universal system. So their influence here is undeniable just by simply looking at their placements in the sky, in the heavens, right? Yet this is still denied, this is demonized, this is rejected, this is abandoned throughout history, right? This is what has caused the deep soul fragmentations of our human origins and our truth and the truth of upcoming civilizations has deeply fragmented this over the last 2,000 years, is this rejection of just simply acknowledging this star system's presence. And hence this has held and is the radial root of the dark mother templates and the dark feminine archetypes that exist dormant in the earth grid. So when I've been going on this journey of really embodying a lot of these dark goddess archetypes, Kali, Inanna has been coming up, Hecate, there's a whole bunch of them, but essentially they all Chinnamasta. Oh Lord, you guys know about Chinnamasta? Now that is an interesting one. She is a goddess that has decapitated herself and is standing with a weapon on top of a couple. I started to actually access this consciousness prior to going to Egypt, and it was it was kind of more when I was coming into some polyamorous perceptions of things, but it's interesting, this feminine dominance and decapitation over a couple. Why a couple, right? So, drop it in the comments if you know about Chinnamasta and why she is decapitated, standing over a couple. But essentially, here I am going off on another tangent. But these dark feminine archetypes, I've always associated them back to Hydra. Everything on this earth plane, spiritually, on an angelic level, on a spiritual level, on a deity level, on an ascended master level, all of this always comes back to a source. It always comes back to a radial energy signature, okay? And so I've always looked at these goddesses accumulatively, one through Venus, but then secondly, and primordially through Hydra. Okay, so all of this comes up through those Dark Mother templates. All of that has been coming up. It was really shooken up at the winter solstice, that those transmissions were just coming through. And this is when these dormant portions of Tiamat come up to be acknowledged. And this is worked through the feminine, this is worked through the masculine as well. Tiamat literally starts to growl from her belly and forces people to look at these things internally. And this is really still continuing to play out. A lot of feminines are still reaching out, telling me that they are working through the Dark Mother template. So this is still coming up. Also, so kind of back to Hydra and Alpha Centauri here. Both of these cosmic nations, they were birthed from the Hydra Centaurus supercluster in Laniakea. Laniakea is a gigantic structure and a string of galaxies all tied together within this gigantic structure that holds together super quadrant sectors of the entirety of what we know, or what we have known to be the entirety of the galaxy. Okay, so this Hydra Centaurus supercluster is known to be the closest neighbor to the Virgo supercluster. So this takes this Hydra intelligence here on Earth, as Hydra, the constellation Hydra Alphard, these are only ambassadors to the extended family line that truly is universal intelligence and creation into multiverse systems, okay? And that's why I can sit here and say Hydra is fundamentally one of the super consciousnesses on this planet. There are not a lot of star systems that you can directly pinpoint their supercluster origin. And Hydra is one of them. So that is important, and that's something to take note of. So this grid is the most extensive and the most important running grid known on the Earth that cultivates in our most primal sustaining parts of history, that is beyond any limitation of any other collective grid and radial root race overlays. Because this grid is the defining underlay, okay? She's in the southern hemisphere. She comes up from second density, density 2. She is the unseen, and she is the forgotten. But you can't really forget this because it truly represents the cradle of civilization. And this is actually unified through the old and still running equatorial codes of Lemuria, Gondwana, the supercontinent Pangaea, Kumari Kandam. Okay, these are the connecting land bridges that brought forth Mu and the 7 ancient races to Lemuria. Okay, so Hydra is one with Lemuria, and I did not realize that until this last week. I never associated them two so fundamentally until I have woken up to some deeper truths just within this last week. So everything is constantly always revealing itself. I've always associated Lemuria primarily with Pleiades, but I've been making a lot of new perceptions and realizations that I think are, at this point, highly fundamental and pivotal in my own exploration of the depths of Hydra. So I'm excited to bring this information forth. And this is in a time, so Lemuria was in a time where Hermes Aphrodite beings, okay, hermaphrodite beings, Hermes Aphrodite, okay, this is supposed to be the original spiritual primordial life energy that brought forth these beings, okay, Mercury and Venus, these beings with 4 arms, and they walked the earth. These are true honored androgynous beings that were worshipped as gods. This is highly, like I said, connected to the planet Venus and also to Mercury, which today is exonerated and expressed through the heart of India and Hinduism. So why do we think that their gods have multiple arms? Shiva has 4 arms. This may have been depicted and came from the multi-armed androgynous beings from the original human root races, the 7 ancient root races of Lemuria. These are from, and ultimately, these came from the original ancient snake cults and the Nagas and what is considered the Anunnagi. Okay, which are semi-divine beings. They're half human and they're half cobra. So India is the last standing country defining this Hydra template to contemporary human existence. As one of India's national animals is the cobra. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up my Scribbles map here for you guys. Okay, so hopefully my head is in the corner. I have just moved my little face over into what is the filming zone. So hopefully it does not cut my head out. It sometimes does, so apologies if it does. But essentially this is my national animal grid map. So all of these countries have been charted by their national animals according to running grid networks that are celestially connected according to current Atlantean running systems. Okay, and so I have charted the Hydra grid in yellow. You can see here that India is in yellow, and that is because India's national animal is the cobra. And so India runs the Hydra grid. Okay, and I have labeled it, like I said, here in yellow. And you can see here I have charted a couple spots here on the tip of India. Now, the southernmost tip is where this Hydra Stargate is most activated. So I'm going to just zoom in just a little bit. That's zooming out. And I did not get my yellow all the way down to the tip here, but I'm just going to go over a couple of these locations here on the tip because they are highly fundamental to this Stargate vortex area. I would say the tip of India here is a Hydra Stargate vortex site on the planet. And this connection point is also from where Lemuria sank. Okay, so this is where it had connected to those land bridges, connecting Australia, Southern America, Mesoamerica, Africa, parts of Hawaii and Madagascar. This would have been where those 7 ancient races originally came from. And I charted some of these points here that are activated. So one of these points here, it is, let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so Pujapura Nagar. So I'm going to totally slaughter this name, but Pujapura Nagara Kavu. Okay, so this temple here honors the Queen of the Nagas. And as I was kind of looking at the site, everything within the area was labeled snake something. So they have a snake park. They have, you know, everything is about the snakes. Also, Nagarcoil. Okay, so Nagarcoil, this is considered the temple of the Nagas. And also we have the Kerala temples. This is where the worship of snake shrines takes place. And what they do at the Kerala temples is they worship these snake shrines called Sarpa Kavu, and they smear them in turmeric and light a lamp of fire next to it. So a lot of snake worship is happening there. And then also we have Nagaraja, I believe, let's see. We have Nagaraja. And Nagaraja honors the king of the Nagas. This is a specific god named Thangod. And he's considered, and this is considered where the land of the snake people are. Okay, so this entire southern tip here is highly Hydarian activated. And here is the root of the serpent cults and the Dravidian cultures. The Dravidians were the connecting races from the 7 ancient races of Lemuria, the Tamil cultures as well. So that's why I, have labeled all this as it's highly fundamental to the Hydra Cosmic Grid update here. So I'm going to get more into this. So in 1947, when India finally achieved independence from the Drac, Pegasi, Lyran hybrids, okay, and I say that because if you look at the United Kingdom, okay, that once had ownership over India, this grid is a Draconian, a Lyran, and a Pegasi nation. It is the only nation that is ran by 3 higher light intelligent nations. So they fundamentally have been given advanced technologies of colonization tactics, which this gets very detailed, to be able to do the things they have done historically. And so that's a video that I also want to put out at some point as well. But that's important to notate, that they have that capacity, according to their national emblem, what they represent there energetically. And so basically, once India achieved their independence, the cobra became its national animal. And remember, I have told you guys in my past cosmic grid updates that, again, I'll leave links to all of these in the description. Please check out these videos. That the national animal is highly fundamental in many, many ways. It pertains to the energetic grid that a country follows according to Atlantean contemporary running systems. But in this particular grid, this Hydra update, this Hydra grid runs off of Lemurian systems. So that's why it's harder to see. Atlantean systems are easier because they are more within a Akashic perspective of perceivability. Lemuria is harder for people to tune into. But the national animal is encrusted on the governmental and the UO-social energy signatures of power capitals and thrones and colonization headquarters, and is ultimately the expression of how they are implementing their radial identity reigns and regime changes. And this extensively defines the electrical fractal field realities and the landmass geometry that humans base the entirety of their existence off of, from their everyday behavior to the designs of their infrastructure and their architecture and their dealings of nationalism, military, war, and worldly agendas and affairs. So that's why I talk about this stuff so much, is because it's basically bringing the unconscious to consciousness, essentially. But this grid runs a Hydra to Cygnus radial creation current defined by the caduceus. Okay, so I'm going to stop my share because I'm going to dive into this just a little bit more with you guys. I just want to have my face back on the screen here, but because this is really interesting. I did not realize that there were swan wings on the caduceus, that those were swan wings. I always thought that they were eagle wings or something, but they are swan wings. So the caduceus is carried by Hermes, the god of magic, right? And again, ties us back into that Hermes, Aphrodite, hermaphrodite, god, androgynous being from the 7 ancient races of Lemuria. But this ultimately descended from Maya, Hermes' mother, which is Pleiades. Again, tying Pleiades back into Hydra. So strong ties here with Pleiades and Hydra. And I'd say they are highly hybridized here in these two systems. So I would love to be able to put a Pleiadian starseed origin reading out next. Hopefully I get that out here in the next day or two. But the caduceus staff is entwined by 2 serpents with swan wings at the top. So this is the current symbol that is on the coins and temples in India. And it also represents the DNA and is incorrectly, to some degree, according to cross demonization tactics of this twisted patriarchy, fallen Aquila, Draco, Anunnaki grid, right? That the symbol of healthcare in the World Organization as well is seen through the caduceus. But this, again, I feel is incorrect to a high degree, that they should be using this symbol. Okay, this symbol runs the radial identity of Hydra, okay, spiritual enlightenment, wisdom, immortality, and healing, the rising of the Kundalini and Christed consciousness of the mind, and runs this current to the liberation, to the wings of the swan, to Cygnus, where the pharaohs in ancient Egypt aim to ascend in their afterlife. That's why they put all of their tombs facing towards Cygnus. And Cygnus is Hydra's equal opposition in the heavens. So you could draw a line from Cygnus to Hydra. They will be in complete opposition. Oppositions are very important in terms of how they cooperate in coalitions for creation. So this radial current, defined by the caduceus, moves up the planetary staff. Or you could call it a rod, a planetary rod. And this is a 24-pointed staff or rod, which means it also has 24 spheres as well. So you can also think of this as an extended universal tree of life that runs a 24-point DNA activation. Okay, so we are so beyond 12 strands of DNA activated anymore. Like, I know people are living with within all different spectrums of ascension and are learning about these things, and so they are waking up to 12 strands of DNA, and I understand there's different containers of consciousness, but in terms of running ninth dimensional Hydra creation templates, they are going off of a 24-pointed DNA. Okay, so this is hitting all meiotic and diodotic points on the planet, all pyramids, all temples, right? The meiotic and diodotic points are the pyramids and temples on the planet. These are where the most quantum mechanics of transduction is happening within the planet, within these radial identities, within the birthing of the seed races, within the collective exchange of quantum energy. This is happening at the meiotic and diodotic points, which are the pyramids and temples in specific locations that follow this Hydra current at all these sacred locations: Mesoamerica, the Yucatan, Giza. Okay, this is where we have the most of these pyramids, but they're technically all over the world, but within the 30-degree north and 30-degree north and 30-degree south horizontal ley lines. Okay, so it's all within the belly of the earth. That emerges from the Arcturian Stargate in Lake Titicaca, Peru, and manifests from the first and second dimensional Stargate vortex sites on a global scale of human biological and planetary frequency that brought its expression through and forth all of the original civilizations. Okay, so this is the Mayans with Kukulkan, the plumed serpent or the feathered serpent. Again, here, this is hybridized serpent and avian. That presents in all other cultures of Mesoamerica, also known as the Quetzalcoatl of Aztec mythology as well. And the Kukulkan god, the serpent god, is the Mayans' most revered god. And he's also honored through Venus. Most of their temples were, so Kukulkan was most likely androgynous and was honored by Venus. They have Uxmal as one of their temples there. Everything is designed to align to Venus. Also, the Incans in Peru and Bolivia with the serpent temples at Santiago de Ojé. I know I'm slaughtering names here, I'm sorry. But these are also a part of this Hydra current. Also, the Incan serpent stone at Machu Picchu. Again, Machu Picchu being the Pleiadian activated Stargate site. And what are they bringing forth? Serpent energy. This is also pumped to Tibet through the ley line activity of the Nazca lines. So this here also extensively bringing forth the living reality fields from Lemuria, running off the old equatorial codes of Lemuria. The Nazca lines are directly aligned to the old equatorial code of Lemuria. These civilizations all ran off of an incipient Lemurian force from lunar to solar stargates and vortexes, most primarily based in Pleiadian, Sirian, Arcturian, and Hydra encodement. This also goes to the Serpent mounds in Ohio, brought forth by the Adena culture. This is a pre-Columbian Native American culture. This is aligned to the summer solstice, and this is where Hydra energy begins her awakening into the grids. At least in North America, from Stargate Site 2, which is Sarasota, Florida. Okay, and I just spoke to a beautiful divine feminine, and she had told me that why Sarasota was a vortex. I guess it's one of the only beaches that has clear quartz crystal sands. So I'm like, oh, I need to get to the Siesta Keys. Also in Egypt, the Hydra mythology is the most expressed more than any other symbolism at Giza. This is what blows my mind going to Egypt. As I'm going there expecting to find more Orion symbolism, but what I found was Hydra symbolism the most. But yet it's stamped with this Orion crest. Not saying that those transmissions are not taking place there, because that is the most open Stargate vortex site on the planet, and it is running 12-dimensional radial templates all the time. 24, it's running the 24 pointed staff encodement. So it's running all kinds of different radial signatures. But essentially, it has been known as the Orion crest in the heart of cosmic galactic history, right? But at Saqqara, Abydos, Luxor, Aswan, and so on, the cobras are what is defined all over everything. The cobras in Egypt were the protectors of the pharaohs, and Cleopatra herself actually allegedly died from a snake bite. So there's just a lot of cobra symbolism there. In China, it was also a male and female pair of snake with human heads and serpent bodies, semi-divine beings who supposedly created humans in China. Okay, so this current's running through China. And it just so happens that on a quantified scale, okay, I read a book called, I can't remember the name of it. It was Occult Chemistry by Charles W. Ledbetter. Okay, they broke down the elementals on a quantified scale, and what they seen was that on this level, the oxygen molecule itself contains a male and a female snake. So the oxygen that we breathe itself, the oxygen that rises from the base of the spine, that is the kundalini itself, is a male and a female snake, an androgynous energy, serpent energy. The indigenous aboriginals and Australians believed in the rainbow serpent as their creator god. Of course, we can't forget that one. That's highly tied into the Mother Art Gate sites. Again, Uluru, Pleiadian. In Sumer, Enki is known to us as the serpent in Genesis, the one who gave us the ability to think and reason. He was portrayed as the serpent in the Garden of Eden. And Enki's son, Ningizida, dwelt in Magan, and he is represented by the double-headed snake. And so Enki is representing the DNA of serpent wisdom and serpent cults across the Great Awakening. And so that was interesting to me, because I never associated the Anunnaki as serpent. But in truth, the Anunnaki were influenced by the Anunnaki. Okay, and so it was this brotherly competition of Cain and Abel and Sodom and Gomorrah that basically is the reason for the tarnishing of the serpent wisdom on the earth, because it was of this brotherly competition, when they themselves may have been truly birthed from the Anunnaki. Okay, so I just wanted to give a shout out here again to another beautiful divine feminine, Miss Helio Soul. Thank you so much for bringing forth a lot of this revelation to me, because she kept calling them the Anunnaki. And I'm like, why is she calling them the Anunnaki? That the Anunnaki, those from this royal lineage, these Syrian reptilian hybrids, okay, reptilian, ding, 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 the old primordial lines, these truly may be the gods of ancient India. Okay, and where are they ruling now? They are ruling the underworld. They are a race of serpents that inhabit the nether regions. Even in Zechariah Sitchin, he talks about this. The 7 Anunnaki ruling the underworld. Okay, so that the Indus Valley influenced the Sumerians, that the Vedic text are the fundamental links to the cuneiform tablets. So like I said, it's all about who interprets them. We have yet to have a divine feminine interpret cuneiform tablets. So divine feminines, I challenge you to be the first to bring forth the feminine interpreted version of the cuneiform tablets. And again, here is another disclaimer on this video, because all of this information that I'm saying right now, like I told you, highly occult, highly controversial, all of this is dismissed by the mainstream. But the timelines have been skewed for a reason. The Indus Valley, the Dravidian cultures, the Tamil civilization, the true descendants of Lemuria, they predate Sumeria by about 3,000 years. Possibly 8,000 years, I've read in some places as well. So it's the spectrum here. And these ancient Lemurian civilizations are rooted in serpent cults. Okay, so it is said that Brahma is Anu, Vishnu is Enki, Shiva is Enlil, and Inanna's Hindu counterpart is Kali. Again, going back to Venus and Mercury, hermaphrodite. So that's why today I am calling this grid the original grid of creation. Because it literally runs through all pre-ancient civilizations and all creation stories, which are ultimately rooted in serpent energy, right? And which is Hydra. Hydra gave birth to the Anunnaki. Okay, and these come from different types of Nagas, spiritual energy, celestially, angelically, okay? There are different kinds of snake deities that have brought this forth. So this is some of my channeled information here that I wanted to bring forth to you guys. There are the dark Nagas, okay? The dark Nagas are more luxurious Nagas. I want to say that these are more of the fallen parts of the hybridizations in even the Anunnaki, that they seek to dominate power over others, and they like luxury, they like wealth, they like power. And then you have the guardian Nagas. So the guardian Nagas are the angelic energies of the Seraphim. Okay, the 6 to 12 winged serpent beings of solar flames. And then we have lunar Nagas. Okay, so here comes forth this universal consciousness right here in one celestial radial signature. There is a diversification of this. The lunar Nagas, the watchers of the night. Okay, these are a different spiritual form of Nagas. These ones live in dark spaces between the stars. They are considered the koilan. They are considered the dark mother matter. They are responsible for astrology. They're responsible for sidereal astrology and lunar nakshatras. Again, tying us into Indian culture. We have royal Nagas. These are a different type of spiritual Naga energy. These ones haunt the lost cities, the ruins, the temples, the pyramids, and the kingdoms of our ancient civilizations. The royal Nagas are always with us at these places. We also have spirit Nagas. Spirit Nagas are the witches of the Naga races. Okay, so spirit Nagas is what comes forth in practicing pagans. Water Nagas, they live near the waters. In waters, they are travelers, and they are responsible for the season changes. So there's lots of different types of Naga, celestial, angelic, spiritual energies that exist on this earth that manifest through all of this current running radial signature through the Lemurian template. And like I said, guys, back on my map here, just want to show you guys one more time. This grid primarily runs between the 30-degree south and 30-degree north horizontal ley line. And I just want to draw in here because I want to show you guys some of the currents that I was noticing. I'm just going to change the color up a little bit because so you can see it. We'll do blue because we're not going to be hitting the blue grids too much. Okay, so this grid, it's a current. Australia. Okay, it runs through Egypt. It runs through Mesoamerica and Hawaii. And this current also runs up to Mount Shasta. And it also runs down through Peru. Okay, and it also runs through Tibet and China. So this line here may actually be, because this is actually very close to the trajectory of the Nazca lines that run through. The Nazca lines are down here and they're running up this way. Okay. They've drawn lines from the Nazca lines to Tibet, and it's running about just like this. This very similarly looks like it very much could define that old equatorial code of Lemuria. And keep in mind too, why it's so spread out like this is because ley lines are not straight like we think they are on the maps. Ley lines are like roots, they're like veins, they're like branches. That's the true structure of them. They are not what we think they are on maps. They are truly like a tree root system. And yeah, guys, so this grid in particularly has yet to be fully defined. And it takes a vast and expanded perception to see its interweaving into the existing running timelines, the root races, the civilizations, and the religions and cults that have come before. But this serpent cult has never died. And during the time of Atlantis, this grid became harmful and hijacked due to the ascended egos and the forefathers of patriarchy and the hybridized races that attempted to bury its remnants through the amnesic technologies in the unconsciousness of humanity. So that's my cosmic grid update for you guys today. It's such a pleasure to finally get a video back out. I start missing you guys. I start getting antsy after about a week. I'm like, I haven't put a video out. I need to connect with my subscribers, also with my patrons. Thank you everyone for supporting my channel, liking this video. Please comment and share so others can find out about my work. And also drop your comments in the comment section so that way I can see how everyone is perceiving this information, and therefore it gives me more to roll off on for the next videos. Yeah, so you can find all of my services at IndigoAngel222.com. I offer starseed origin readings, Akashic record readings, and
interactive AMP sessions, which is Advanced Avatar Master Practices, which is where we go through a series of interactive visualizations to expand the mind and the consciousness and to really open up your vertical ascension columns so that way you can connect much more to all of these interdimensional navigational aspects of yourself. And feel free to join me on Patreon, patreon.com/IndigoAngel. And I hope you all have a beautiful everything.